Welcome to Amazon. Today we're going to be talking about new moms. It's one thing to be pregnant. It's another thing to give birth. But then, what does it take to be a mom? Aisha, Bimbo.
Okay, I did a play recently, and it was about being a first-time mom. And it was very funny. I sort of understood everything that she went through. After the pregnancy, the baby comes. You're a first-time mother. Some are younger than others. And there's this whole new person to care for. And before that, it was just you and your husband. Now there's a new person. She's crying in the middle of the night. She needs to be fed at odd hours. So you have to do a readjustment of your life,
of course,
basically, for that person. You're no more the person that you were before the baby came.
Of course.
Now you're a responsible adult because you're in charge of another life. And what it can be pretty trying for people who don't have support. Even if you do have support, it might not be the sort of support you want.
Definitely.
Everybody carrying the baby might not be what you expect or want. And then you carrying the baby yourself and having to care for the baby alone might be too big a responsibility for the first time.
Fantastic. What do you think?
Yeah, first-time mom, they teach you everything before you give birth. And then when you give birth, you just forget. You are left, it's you and the baby.
Of course.
All those things you were taught, that you thought you remember, that you were prepared, you just finally found that you are not prepared for this new child and that you must deal with the situation, which is the child. Bimbo said, crying in the middle of the night. They say they go through colic. You have to breastfeeding,
changing.
and then changing them,
As well.
Changing is you have to understand changing the child.
Yeah,
changing the child is you don't even know why the child is crying because the child cannot tell you my nappy is wet.
Of course.
And then, but thank God these days we have those diapers that can really take care of the wetness of the baby.
But that's not all it takes to be a first-time mom, because I can share my experience. I mean, before I had my first child, I read so much books. I had a library of books. And then the old wives' tale, don't do these, don't eat ice block, don't eat too much sugar, and everything. So many things they tell you that by the time it was time to actually go into the labor room, I was afraid. I was so scared because I'd read so much. But you know what? The experience was completely different. Now, depending on the kind of childbirth you have, if you're lucky enough and your labor was very short and everything, it's easier sometimes. But if you have a very, very trying labor or some kind of complication comes up, sometimes I think for a first-time mom, it can make you have something I think they call the baby blues.
Postpartum depression.
Where a mother rejects the child. Not because there's no love or anything. It's just because of the traumatic experience of actually giving birth to that child. And that, if you don't have enough people to encourage you and talk to you and actually make you understand that, it's something that you go through, you will come out of it. It can actually cause a big gap between a mother and a child.
I have heard about it, but what I'm wondering, is it the labor that brings about this or the pregnancy itself? Because from what I understand, when you become pregnant, it's like an alien takes over your body and it's not yours anymore. Things happen that you can't control. On a normal, we can control our body. So especially if you're someone who's into control, who likes the idea of being in charge of yourself.
Of course.
When you have a life within you, it's a totally different thing. The pregnancy itself makes changes in your body. And I think for some women,
it's more of the postnatal experience that gives the woman the depression.
Is it only that, or is it a combination of both? Throughout the pregnancy, the changes that she's been trying to cope with. I saw someone, she had warts all over when she was pregnant. Because, it's in the family, but during the pregnancy, it took over her whole body. And that's not something, and she's a pretty girl. So that's not something you're used to. You're used to people saying, no, you look gorgeous, but then you have your nose from here to here. You have your legs swollen.
Yes.
You can only walk for a certain amount of period. You're sitting down after 30 minutes thinking, oh my God,
actually,
your waist hurts.
Those physical things are actually great. Let's talk about the psychological thing. I remember I was looking for a bowl of soup for 3 days when I was pregnant. Do you know where I kept it? The washing machine. I couldn't find it.
Okay.
But those are the kind of things that you go through. And you know what? If I dropped the pen then, I could cry like I just lost my dad. I would just cry and cry.
And being and the birth experience, two different people, two different experiences. No two experiences are the same.
Of course.
Even when you have the same family. some people will have easy pregnancy, easy labor. Some people will have easy labor, difficult pregnancy. But what does it really take to take care of a child outside of your body?
Yeah, of course.
And then what does it really take to carry a pregnancy the first time?
Of course.
Like I said, they teach you different things, but they don't teach you everything.
The emotional side of
Yes.
it is never
But
taught to you.
How many,
There's
how
all
many,
the
how
small
many
things to
people
do.
in Nigeria of today actually go for antenatal care?
A lot.
They go now.
A lot. It's one of
For
the
people
things.
who can afford it.
No. You have health centers, and that's what they do. It's,
they go?
It's free. Yeah, it's free service. So you go there and you're taken care of. Yes, I've been to one of such places. I've seen
Okay,
that
when
happen.
you go, I mean, is it that they actually tell you what to expect, how to go about it, the changes that your body would go through? Because, it's more, like I said before, it's a good thing, when you get pregnant. But if you haven't been pregnant before and carried a child for 9 months and then give birth to the child, then the first 2 years of your life after that child arrives, changes completely, like you said. If you're not prepared for it, it can cause a lasting damage.
I agree
both
with you.
on the child and the mother.
But okay, what I think does happen in Nigeria is that you get a lot of, advice. Oh, don't go out in the afternoon, it's too hot, blah, blah, blah. Don't wear this. Oh, put a pin in your cloth when
Hold
you're going
my
out.
stills.
Tie a stone to the tip of your wrapper. Don't eat plantain because then the child will come out funny. Don't drink cold drinks because it will affect the baby. But
Don't
nobody
watch
talks,
horror movies.
Yes, but nobody talks about the emotional side of it.
Yes.
One thing we have to understand is that Nigerians, we're not into discussing emotions. We sort of think all those things should be put behind a barrier and you should always show a brave face, like the British, a stiff upper lip, which doesn't work in a lot of cases.
How involved is the man
I was just
in
going
the
to go
pregnancy
there.
experience of a woman?
Now, a young girl gets married, okay? Dating, boyfriend, they do things together. When there's no child, you can both go to parties together, you can spend time together. Saturday, you look forward to Saturday. Sunday, you can go do whatever it is you want to do. Now, when the child comes, it's natural to drift apart because you can't go out as much as you want to with your partner or your husband. And then you find you have to stay back home to look after the child. Not because anyone says you have to, but it's just the norm, it's a natural thing.
Yeah, the
You
child
understand?
becomes
Then-
priority for the woman.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then resentment sets in. Not for the woman this time around, for the man who becomes jealous.
Of the attention that is
Because now
diverted.
his wife's attention is being taken up by this little crying thing. Because the first 3 months, all they do is cry. Honestly, believe me, it's really, it takes the grace of God to look after a child because it takes everything in you.
The first few months
The first
are
few
really
months is
difficult.
hard. You don't sleep. You can't actually sleep. The minute you put your head down, the child starts crying. If you don't feed the child, everybody looks at you and say, what's that thing? Give breast, and you just want to scream. Like, what, that's what I've been doing. Everything you eat is for the child. You can't take certain drugs. You have headaches. You can't actually take, headache medicine because you're breastfeeding.
True. Some people are so affected by it that they just think that everything they do, they don't even know how to be a mother. They think, they've been told it's so simple, and yet why can't I just do this simple thing? But it's not as simple
as it looks. Also,
as they've said.
Also, if we're talking about a drift in the marriage, it's not only because the woman is totally involved in the child. It's because every other woman in that family is also involved in the child.
Well, in Nigeria, where you can get to your relations.
That's what happens.
Abroad, when you live abroad on your own, and it's just you and the man, and you both do 9 to 5 jobs or whatever it is, and there's no one, and it costs a fortune to actually have a nanny.
He's forced to.
It doesn't work like that because probably what the couple usually do is maybe the wife will maybe work at night and then the man will work during the day because you have to pay your bills. But it's hands-on. But at the same time, what I believe a newborn takes away from a family, especially a young married couple, is a lot. And I
believe so.
First-time moms should be equipped and also, thought about the things that they need to expect. Because if you know something, I think it'll be easier for you to take it in your stride. Because when you know what to expect, you prepare your mind.
What about the man?
That's what we're talking about. In England, it's different.
If the woman is the one being taught to deal with the changes that the baby has brought, what role does the man play? We're talking Nigeria now, not even abroad.
But we push the man away.
How?
How do we do it? It's pretty easy. I've seen this happen. I've not had a baby yet, but I've had so many people and I have kids I call my own. This is it. Your mother comes. His mother comes. Your auntie comes or somebody else comes. People are taking care of you at the beginning because, you know, there are certain procedures that you must go through. You must sit on the hot thing. You must be tied or pressed. And then they're taking care of the baby. And when he comes in and he's like, Eliza, how are you? I don't carry him. You don't have to carry him yet. I've seen that happen. So what happens is that there's this, it's like a bonding of women. Yeah. Women actually bond over the baby and they forget that the man is part of the making of the baby and he's pushed away. Some men on their own do not want to do all that.
Some men don't want to do anything. I was very, very lucky. I'm sorry, I never woke up one night.
Oh, you had a husband who took care of it. That is very.
I never, ever. My first time, I was very lucky. I would say that, you know, but you know, for some, but then that was in England. But for some, you know, they don't have that kind of luxury, you know. I mean, the wife is automatically expected to be the one to wake up at night. And believe me, I keep saying this because I'm thinking back and I'm thinking those nights, you know, where the baby cries and everything. Do you know what it is like to come back at 10 in the night and you just want to put your head down and sleep? And this baby, there's some really, really weird babies that they just wait for you to close your eyes and then they cry. No, honestly, it's, you wake up, you go to them. They're not hungry, they're not wet. They don't actually want anything. You pat them, you put them back. The minute you put your head down again, they cry.
I
can do that all throughout night.
Well.
But it's your fault though. That's your fault and the people around you. Let me explain it. Babies, once they are born, are little human beings. They have a brain. It's forming, but it's still dead. And they understand from when they cry, people rush to carry them. Especially during the day. If your mom is there, your mom will grab the baby. If your husband is there, he's probably grabbing the baby. Yeah. So the baby has gotten used to being carried and likes the feeling of being rocked, held against another person. It's contact, it's warmth. So if he's alone, so what happens at night, you're dropping him in the crib, there's no contact, there's no warmth. He wants that. Nothing wrong with him. He or she just wants you to carry them.
But so they cry. Those are the babies who want love, affection, and love. But there are some babies who cry because something is wrong with them.
Most definitely. But that's where you need to know and you have to be able to draw the line. Anyway, we'll be right back.
So I have Pampers on my left and the other diaper on my right.
Okay.
And I have 150 ml of water for Pampers and same quantity for the other diaper.
Welcome. We're still talking about new moms, what it takes to be a mom, and the journey of being a mother. Bimbo, we've got Mrs. Adigun Rebecca, a qualified nurse, to come in and actually tell us the kind of advice, you know, that are in place for a new mom.
A new mom is different from a first-time mom. You can be a new mom to a second baby. But a first-time mom is one who is having a new mom. A new mom.
Is it possible? No.
A new mom is a new mom.
A new mom is different from a first-time mom. Oh. A first-time mom is the one who is just giving birth for the first time.
Okay.
You can just give a birth now. She's just a new mom.
Mother again.
Okay, so like you could have had like 20 children and every time you have a child, you're still a new mom.
Because you have a new baby.
Okay.
That's by my own definition.
Okay.
Let's make it special is allowed. A new mom.
Okay. New mom, first-time mom. The saga is all about what it takes to be a mother. With us now, joining us now is Mrs. Adigun Rebecca, a nurse.
Prepared.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Wow, please take a seat.
Yeah, thank you.
Wow, you came prepared.
Yes.
You know, Aisha, looking at that, I'm just thinking the amount of money I spent on those. Honestly, wow. Welcome.
Thank you.
Now, you're a qualified nurse. You're also a health educator. Yes. So obviously, the minute a woman gets pregnant, you have a major role to play in their lives, not only during the pregnancy, also after they've given birth, and I think also, if not anything at all throughout the child's life, actually. Okay. What can you tell us, I mean, what are the important things that you think you can tell us about
Being a first-time mom.
aside from being a first-time mom, is it possible to be prepared? Let me put it to you like that.
Yes,
it is possible to be prepared.
For childbirth or for being a mother?
For being a mother, you have to be prepared.
So how do you prepare people to become mothers in hospitals? What special, classes do they have to take, and what are they taught in these classes?
Thank you. As soon as the woman is confirmed pregnant, she's encouraged to start antenatal classes immediately.
Okay.
And in these classes, they put them through different things, exercises that they need to do from day to day, what they need to eat to ensure the baby grows and develop very well, things they need to abscond from or stay away from, like alcohol, smoking, because some mothers actually smoke, and things they should do. Even their work, day-to-day work, shouldn't be too stressful, because we have some pregnancy can be threatening, so they are encouraged not to manage their day-to-day activities properly, so as not to get them too stressed.
Okay.
All this is still not emotional. This is telling you that, okay, eat right, do this right, but what do we say to prepare them in their mind? It's like saying to someone like, look, when this baby comes, things are going to be different. You are going to have sleepless nights for 2 years. Your life will not be your own. You are going to have this little person that depends on you for everything. And sometimes you might feel a bit put out by this. You might get stressed out. But when that time comes, these are exercises that you can do to relieve you of tension. Or just ask somebody else to take care of the baby. Go for 2 hours. Come back refreshed. None of this is done in a hospital, is it?
Yes, we do them in the hospitals.
Okay.
We actually try to allay fears in expectant mothers, because by telling them your life is not going to be yours anymore, the baby, you don't create fear in moms. These are stages in life you have to go through as a mother, and you take them as they come. So we prepare them as mothers, as you're going to be having this wonderful gift. Is a wonderful thing. It's a beautiful experience.
A wonderful thing that, when you go travel and you go to shops, you can't actually buy anything for yourself, and you come back with 3 suitcases of children's things, and then they outgrow it within 2 months. No, but honestly, because being a first-time mom affects your life. I'm talking personally now, honestly.
I know that, being a first-time mom, the experiences are so varied. But for a child that is already out of the woman's womb, who has been brought home, crying all the time. I know that one of the reasons why children cry, they don't sleep at night, even during the day, is because of wetness. Wetness is the reason why a child mostly cries. And most mothers will go to the market. We have different brands of Pampers and diapers in the market now. So we need to educate mothers on diaper changing. Do you do that in hospitals?
Thank you. Yes, we do that. As a first-time mom, there are a lot of things you need to do to ensure your baby grows and develop very well. And these things, they ranges from breastfeeding, hygiene, bringing up these wonderful gifts in a clean and, free, germ-free environment. Then also adequate sleep is essential for a baby's growth and development, both physically, mentally, and socially. When babies sleep well at night, they wake up in the morning, they are happy. They smile at the mom, they eat well, and they are ready to explore the world. For your baby to sleep well at night, they need to be comfortable. As we also have in adults, you need to be comfortable as a baby. But we found that a major discomfort that babies have, like she rightly said, is wetness. When babies pass urine, and the urine stays in contact with their skin for long, this causes irritation.
Is that what causes the nappy rash?
Yes.
When they have all the inflamed
redness of the
redness around them. Okay, but then, in as much as we're looking at wetness, because I'm trying not to move away from the reason why you're here, which is basically to talk about the kind of experience and the kind of things you need to expect as a first-time mom. Okay? Now, as a first-time mom, you go online, you can see there's so many competition right now.
Yes.
So many things and everything. How does a first-time mom know the right thing to buy?
Like I said, when babies pass urine and it stays in contact with their skin for long, it irritates them and could cause rashes. And this affects their sleep, which I said is very vital for their growth and development. With other diapers, that is what actually happens.
Okay.
The wetness, the urine stays in contact with their skin for long.
Okay.
But Pampers has a unique absorbent core
Okay.
that provide a superior dry layer for our baby's tender skin by locking the wetness away from their tender skin,
Okay.
thereby keeping them nicely dry all through the night for as long as 12 hours.
So they can actually, you can put on a Pampers on a child who's going to bed, or you're putting down at 8 o'clock and you don't have to do anything until the next morning, and the baby will not be distressed.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
We want to see.
All right.
All right. So I'm going to prove.
Yeah, you can help us have some water.
Thank you. So I'm going to prove to you on. I'm going to prove to you of how Pampers absorb better than other diapers in the market. And to do that,
Okay, so you're pouring water into measuring
Maybe you
jugs.
should
Yes.
get up the lap and see what she's doing
I need
properly.
to see this. Okay, so what we're doing is you're pouring water into a measuring jug.
yes.
Are they the same quantity?
Yes.
Okay, yes, they are. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, good.
So I have Pampers on my left and the other diaper on my right.
Okay.
And I have 150 mils of water for Pampers and same quantity for the other diaper.
I'll just check on that. 150. Okay, good. Got that?
Making sure. I neck of Pampers.
Thank you. So this quantity is going to represent the amount of urine our baby passes all through the night. So we want to know if Pampers can keep them dry till morning.
Like they claim.
Like,
So I'm pouring the first 100 mils into Pampers.
okay. It's swelling. Is it supposed to swell?
Yes, it's absorbing.
Okay, good.
And this is another 50 mils,
Okay.
making a total of 150 mils into Pampers.
Okay.
And I'll do the same to the other diaper.
Okay.
Yes. So I've poured 150 mils into Pampers. And same quantity into the other diaper. I'm going to
Okay.
stretch them out.
Okay.
So don't forget.
Nimbo, you want to see?
I need to feel the difference.
Actually, you know what? Touching this, the water is coming out, actually.
Yes,
Pressing into it. And then when you press into this
Nothing.
one, nothing. It's actually dry.
Nothing.
Actually, come. Wow. See, there's water.
No.
Honestly.
No. This
Not
is
really.
look
No,
at-
no,
look
squeeze.
at-
Actually,
can-
see.
Can you see?
I'm actually going to squeeze up
Okay.
each of them.
And
Squeeze.
look at Pampers. Nothing is coming out.
So don't forget, I said Pampers has unique absorbent core that absorb the wetness, thereby
Okay.
keeping our baby's tender skin nicely
Okay.
dry all through the night.
Okay.
And this ensures they sleep comfortably throughout the night. Mom, you don't have to wake up to change diapers, to change nappies all through the night. So now, I'm going to squeeze each of these diaper.
Okay.
You've done that before.
Okay.
Wow. This is not magic. It is just what it is.
Can you imagine? You know what? Thank you so much.
Yeah,
if you
Thank
just did that.
you.
Thank you. Fantastic. Aisha, can you imagine the number of good night's sleep you
That you
can
have.
get by using Pampers? Really, if you think about it, because if we're going by what you said about
No,
the fact that
what we've seen.
okay,
seen,
what
yes.
you've actually demonstrated and proved as
Yes,
well,
Yes.
that you can use Pampers and the child will sleep all throughout the night. And since children usually cry because of wetness and everything, I mean, you can imagine. Wow.
So what it is that we're saying now is that there are some products out there in the market that you need to look out for. That will give your baby a better chance, make life easier.
For both
You know.
mother and child.
Because if your child is sleeping well, you're sleeping well.
Yes.
That's basically it. And of course, you always want to do the best for your child. Anyways.
No, I mean, I'm impressed by what I've seen of Pampers here. That's the other diaper. You know, there's so many of them in the market now. Cannot absorb as much wetness as Pampers would do. In fact, Pampers will absorb it and still keep the baby dry. A dry baby sleeps happy throughout the night.
Of course.
And the mother too will sleep happy throughout the night.
And you can, and also when you talk about finances in terms of how many diapers you'd have to buy and to change often, obviously, if they don't absorb properly. But if Pampers can sit in moisture and also keep the baby dry, that means you can actually save money as well, because you don't have to keep changing them.
That's true.
That's a fantastic thing. Thank you, Pampers. Wow, thank you so much. As you have seen, mothers, first-time moms, get Pampers. We'll be back. Welcome back. Remember, no diaper is better than Pampers. Joining us now is Dr. Olalere, a public health officer.
Hello, Doctor. Welcome to Amazons.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
How's it? Welcome, Dr. Olalere.
Thank you.
We've been talking about not new moms.
First time
I
mom.
have to remember myself. First-time moms. Okay. We've spoken about, the financial things you come across, the changes in your life and stuff like that. But I think there's a particular area that is so crucial to the child, especially from the moment they're born, to actually staying alive.
Absolutely.
And that's good hygiene. Am I right?
Absolutely.
What can you tell us about this?
So good hygiene is critical to every newborn baby. And so that means that for every mother, everybody who has to come in contact with a baby, before you even touch the baby, you have to wash your hands. And this is critical because we do all sorts of things. We change the baby's diapers, we go out, we go to the loo, we go and do all sorts of things with our hands. And then we come back and we pick up these babies. So it's so important to make sure that we keep washing our hands. Now, there is a product, it's called Safeguard. Safeguard is an antibacterial soap. And essentially what Safeguard does is that...
What, sorry, when you say soap, is it a bar soap or a liquid soap or
a detergent.
Okay, it is a bar soap.
It's a bar soap, okay.
Yes, absolutely. So when you use Safeguard to wash your hands, what you notice is that what we know medically is the fact that it removes most of the germs on your hands. And then the interesting thing is that it doesn't just do that, then it also prevents the active regrowth of those germs for at least 12 hours. Now that's a lot. So that means that if I actually wash my hands with this soap and I don't do anything to compromise that neatness for the next 12 hours, then I'm actually fine. I can pick up my baby without worrying. I can do other things, cook, and do every other thing without really worrying about, what's happening with my hands or whether I'm going to transfer germs. Now, something that we also know medically is the fact that for all children under 5, their greatest killer is respiratory infections and diarrheal diseases. And so you would even find mothers, sometimes when the baby is teething, and the baby starts, going to the loo all the time, they say, oh, that baby is teething. But there's nothing that says that every child that teeths has to actually go through that. It's actually an issue of hygiene. And so we know that 1 in every 5 deaths, especially in developing countries like Nigeria, is actually caused by poor hygiene. And so when hand washing in terms of the good, hygiene campaign has been introduced, we found out that actually these deaths have actually reduced by as much as 50%.
Oh, okay, fantastic.
Yeah. Now, this will bring me naturally to what are the steps to washing your hands properly? Because apart from the people who actually have to care for those babies, every single one of us actually need to wash our hands properly. And in fact, in discussing Safeguard, Safeguard can only do all those wonderful things that I've talked about when you actually use it properly. And so in using it properly, in washing your hands, ideally, the ideal situation, that's what I'm going to describe. First and foremost, before we talk about the improvisations. So the ideal situation is you wash your hands on the running water, preferable if it's actually warm. So you turn on the tap and of course you wet your hands. Then you apply Safeguard soap to your hands and then you scrub. We should actually make a habit of scrubbing our hands as opposed to washing.
When you say,
and scrubbing.
When you say scrub, you mean like?
Absolutely, I'm going to let you know. So that's like wash the palms, like you know how to do. And then you're also going to wash the fingernails. You're going to put your finger inside there and actively try to bring out all the scum, all the dirt in there. You're going to wash between your fingers. You're going to try to take off your rings and wash there because that's a very beautiful hiding place for all sorts of germs. So you're going to do all that. Usually this should last for about 20 seconds. And we would say, well, if you sing the song Happy Birthday to You twice, that should be like 20 seconds. But the truth is that without playing hard and fast with all those rules, if you actually do scrub your hands properly, 20 seconds would have been done. By the time you're done with all that. And then after that, you put it under the running water and then you rinse, ideally for about 10 seconds. Now, if you've actually scrubbed your hands properly before you can wash out all that soap, it should be about 10 minutes. Yeah, sorry, 10 seconds. Absolutely, thank you. 10 seconds. And then after that, you ideally should dry your hands under the hot air dryer. Or, the sheets that you can actually pull up, the dispensable sheets that you can actually pull out and then use them to clean your hands. And then we also would love for you to actually use the tissue to turn off the faucet. And the reason is because if you remember, it was those your hands that had all those terrible, horrible germs. That was what you used to open it. So when you use that to close it. So having said that, we do know that not all the toilets that we use actually have running water. We also know that sometimes you go somewhere and then you need to use the bathroom and they actually don't have that. So what we also try to suggest is you can improvise. And improvisation actually also means that you actually have to have somebody pour the water over your hands. And I think it's important that as a nation, as a people, we actually imbibe this. Because if we do, we probably would have, those cleaners who stand around in some of those kind of toilets, essentially they can actually be useful in helping you pour water over your hands. Because what happens when we dip our hands inside those bowls of water, like when you want to eat, swallow or something, is we're just washing the germs into the water and using those same germs to pour on our hands all over again. And it's the same thing, even when you're trying to pour. So you pour with one hand and then you transfer all those germs to yet another hand. So the purpose is actually a hygiene overhaul for the whole nation. And I've given you the statistics. It actually significantly reduces ill health in under fives and in everybody. Now imagine that in Nigeria, the statistics, they vary, but give or take, the average life expectancy, that means that from the time a child is born a Nigerian, this child can expect to live 47 years. That's a sad statistic.
For what you've described now, that is where you have running water. What about in those homes where you don't have running water?
That's what I tried to talk about, the improvisation.
No, the improvisation from whatever source of water that they are using, be it borehole, treated or untreated.
Well, of course, this campaign, the Good Hygiene campaign would talk about fantastic potable water. And so that would mean borehole water. It would mean good, clean water. And we all know what the good properties of water are.
Of course.
Odorless, colorless, Absolutely. That would be the kind of water that we are talking about. But of course, that campaign, now involves a lot of other government agencies because we need to make sure that we do have potable water in those places. And once you use it and you use this with Safeguard, and Safeguard is known as the champion of family health, because what it does is that it just makes sure that it keeps your family healthy. In fact, when you use it to take a bath, you don't even have any body odor for 12 hours. That's irrespective of whether you use a deodorant or
So it's not for hand washing.
Okay.
Okay.
No.
Can I also ask? We've
Yes.
talked about hand washing as the first step in hygiene. There must be other steps. What else can we do?
Yeah, I talked about, of course, even taking your bath. I mean, hygiene starts from the very rudimentary things. Knowing that when you wake up in the morning, you should brush your teeth.
Okay.
And that after brushing your teeth, you should take a bath because that's such a critical aspect. There's nothing as nauseating as, standing by and somebody passes you by and there's this stench, it's sweat, it's dried up, caked on sweat. It's horrible.
Okay, sorry, can I ask, brushing your teeth before you have breakfast or
Yes.
after breakfast?
Okay, so I'm not going to join that debate. But the thing is,
We're talking hygiene. Babies don't have teeth yet.
No, I'm talking for adults.
not just
adults.
generally
General
now.
adults.
Okay, great.
For adults.
Now, the thing is, really, what is normally done is the fact that you brush your teeth at least twice in a day. In fact, we even advocate now if you can do 3 times. So everybody's kind of told, have a spare toothbrush somewhere in your office and all that. So if you brush your teeth at night, you can actually have your breakfast in bed, and then after that, go ahead and brush your teeth. Because really, if you now do brush your teeth after you've had your food, essentially that means that all the ickies from the food, from the breakfast you just had, you're going to take all of that away.
Okay, good.
Yes.
As you're talking about actually using Safeguard soap to wash your hands.
Yes.
And now, okay, I use Safeguard soap, but I wouldn't carry a bar of soap around in my bag. So what I actually have is this thing called the hand sanitizers. Do they do the same? Will they do the same work that a soap will do?
Okay,
And
I do believe that there are plans to have a sanitizer for Safeguard sometime in the future, absolutely, because sanitizers actually stand in the gap for when you don't have enough water. So in instances where you know that you've touched something really messy, something that's not so good, sanitizers would stand in the gap. And so you use that, and give or take, for those ones that are alcohol-based, they actually kill 99.9% of the germs on your hand. But the truth is, the ideal situation would be to actually wash your hands thoroughly with clean water. And really, the sanitizers also don't work so much when your hands are visibly dirty.
okay, like
visibly
you've been
dirty.
touching dirt or something.
You've really gone to, to town and you've touched some very filthy things. You can actually see the dirt in your hands. Yes, the sanitizer might try, but if we're talking about killing the germs and remaining germ-free for 12 hours, that would be Safeguard.
Wow, fantastic. You've heard it. Hygiene is very important. We'll be back. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
We've been talking about hygiene. We've been talking about what it takes to be a first-time mom. We've been talking about the challenges you face as a first-time mom. And we've had guests on the show to talk to us about the precautions that we have to take as a first-time mom and the things that we can expect as in expecting the unexpected. Bimbo, Aisha, what do you think?
I think there's a lot that's been done in educating people about, taking care of yourself and the baby whilst the baby is inside and once the baby is out of you. But still, there seems to be a gap when it comes to emotional support that is preparing you for what really is going to happen and how huge a change it will be to you and yours.
Yeah.
Because your life will never be the same. If you're the outgoing type that likes to get up, maybe even if after you've gotten married, you're like, okay, maybe once every 2 weeks I'll go out, it's not going to happen. It's really not going to happen.
The thing about the first-time mom, and from the discussions with the two guests we had, the Safeguard,
Hygiene,
Pampers,
Pampers.
Yeah.
From the hygiene point of view, I think that's very key. You see first-time moms, they are taking their babies in and out of hospital. Whereas if they're taking hygiene into consideration, perhaps they will visit the hospital much less
You know what?
than they do.
Can I tell you something, Aisha? When I had my daughter, she was premature, and then I brought her back here. Do you know I didn't allow her out of the house for like almost 4 months? And touch wood, she never had a cold. She was not sick. Because before we came back, they told us that, you know what, the key thing to this child surviving because she's premature is to keep her and keep her and keep her away from germs.
And our environment really is...
Especially, do you know what, have you seen when people carry babies, Bimbo, people, as soon as you pick up a baby and you put a baby on your shoulder, the baby starts eating your cloth. So, you know, it's advised that you should use the I think they call it the muslin square thing that you put on your shoulder. But sometimes you don't actually see people doing this.
You're talking about an ideal situation where you can afford to do all these things. Let's look at lower class Nigeria. You're selling pepper at the market. You've just had a baby. You stayed home for 2 weeks or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
It's time to go back to work. Are you going to do that? But there's a proverb in Yoruba that I think is apt to this case. So at the end of the day, no, because let's be truthful. You have these kids in the market. You've been to the market, you've seen babies.
Bimbo.
How hygienic is a market
You can cultivate
in a marketplace.
living well and living clean.
In a marketplace.
You can, if you wash, if you touch your pepper, you wash.
Okay, the dust and everything else that's blowing from everywhere.
That's what Dr. Safeguard said. If you touch anything that can actually give you dirt in your fingers, in your hands, if you want to keep your baby healthy and safe, you wash your hand. It's a culture that you have to cultivate. We have imbibed the attitude of saying the market is a dirty environment.
It is.
Whatever you do in the market, God will take care of the baby.
We've been talking about first-time moms, new moms, hygiene, and also
Using the best products.
using the best product. Now, if you're pregnant or you're going to be a first-time mom or a new mom, according to Aisha, the key things that you need to understand is out there in the market, there's a lot of competition. Make sure you ask and you get the best for yourself and your child, because you know what, it can save you a lot of sleepless night. Also, hygiene should be a priority, because if you don't want to keep going in and out of hospital and you don't want to end up with a sick child, make sure you wash your hands with Safeguard. See you next time.